There's a couple things to say. Number one, I think the protests in February and the plenums in February and March began a new kind of discourse, I hope, in Bosnia, which is a recognition that politics as a concept is participatory and it is indeed a process. So the fact that few changes seemingly were accomplished overnight, quite literally over the course of February, is not to me a negative thing, because change doesn't happen overnight. What I'm concerned about, or what I want to have happen, is that energy and that popular dynamic that we saw at work in February continues, and that we see similar mobilizations, established social networks, social organizational networks developing, and attempting to influence the political process from the outside, because that's absolutely vital for Bosnia. We sort of have a captured political process right now, in the sense that politics in Bosnia and Herzegovina is a spectator sport. People just watch these sort of elite disputes play out in front of them. They don't show up to vote because they're completely disillusioned by what they see in front of them. And at the same time, they're not willing to participate in protests that will subvert that dynamic and turn it on its head. Well, if that's what we're dealing with, then nothing will change. You either have to vote, or you have to protest, or you have to do both, ideally. If you do neither one, nothing will change. I mean, that's a very simple dynamic. And in that sense, there is some truth to that old adage that people have the government they deserve. If the people of Bosnia are not prepared to become a political factor that influences the politics of the country, then they will remain a non-factor. I mean, it's sort of banal to say, but I think it's a significant thing to talk about. I think the floods, as it relates to this situation, did a tremendous amount of damage to, I think, the energy that existed around the plenums. They were already being marginalized by the police and the media and various actors within the political establishment. But I think the floods came along at a moment, and the remaining plenum cells essentially became sort of humanitarian bodies. They went to go help people who needed it in that moment, something that the state, incidentally, was not doing, whether it be in the RS or the Federation. I think the floods, at the very least, did a tremendous amount of service in illustrating that the RS is no more of a competently run entity than the Federation is. Be that as it may, I think this was a really important year for Bosnia, in the sense that we're starting to reach the end. I think the recognition that this entire constitutional order is exhausted. Significant change is coming to Bosnia. If for no other reason, then I really do not believe that this system can survive. Now, I'm not prepared to give a timeline necessarily, because there's 1,001 factors that are relevant to that process. But the Dayton constitutional order will not survive another 20 years. I will certainly say that much. And the sooner this change happens, the better. And moreover, the more participatory this change is, the more people are involved in it from all sectors, not just from the different ethnic communities, but from women's groups and youth groups and LGBT groups and any number of other sort of social organizations that we can talk about. The more voices are recognized as being relevant to the process of constitutional reform, the better it will be for the country as a whole and everyone in it.